Hello, and welcome to another episode of Idol Fancast. This week is week number 2 of the live votes of America. Last week we were here and we saw them go from 20 down to 10. This week, I'm not quite sure. I think they get rid of 1 this week, but they had 10 sing yesterday. And for the first part of the show here, what we normally do is we review what happened yesterday. So, like I said, they had 10 people sing, so we'll go walk through each of those in a second. If you're watching live, please come join us in the chat room. You can go to tech-n.tv, and at the top, click the live button and then say live chat, and you can go into our chat room and you can chat with us as we go through the show. Now, a little bit of a reminder of what Idol Fancast is all about. We are American Idol fans. And we start a half hour before the live results show every Thursday and talk about the performances from the day before. And if you're joining us, you can give your opinion. We also have a Google Hangout going, and we welcome you to come to the Google Hangout, and we can put you on the screen and we can talk about what you think about yesterday's performances. So we get your input into our show. Now, last week was our first official week, so we're still a little light on the people coming in, but I will say last week's show, after we put it up on iTunes, has gotten quite a bit of downloads. I was actually pretty impressed for being the first week of a podcast. Typically, they start out very slow, but apparently American Idol is a pretty popular thing. So we are also broadcasting right now on YouTube using the Google Hangout YouTube broadcast feature. So you can watch us live on Ustream by going to tech-n.tv, clicking live and say watch live, or you can see us on YouTube. So we'd love to have your feedback. We want the show to be as interactive as possible, and we want your opinions because everybody has their own opinion on how somebody sings. They like different styles of music. Everybody's their own person, and we'd like to hear that. And more than just the singers, if you don't agree with a judge or you don't like a judge, let us know. I mean, this is part of the discussion that we want to talk about. So our first half hour every week is reviewing the previous day's show, which we're getting ready to start that in a second here. And then through the show at commercials, I just do little updates. And then after the show, we talk about the results. Did you agree with them? Things like that. So that's what we're going to do after the show. And basically after the show's over, I take the tapes and I edit out all the blank space during the show, and I produce a final podcast as well. So if you're listening to this after, you're not watching it live, but you downloaded it, then what you're listening to is an edited version, which can be much shorter because our show can be anywhere from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours long, depending on the people in the chat room. So if you're listening to this post, you're going to hear, after this first half hour, little comments from me, which are basically updates about what happened during the show. And then I will cut out all the blank space. I won't talk much during the show. That way people are streaming us live and want to continue with us live. I'm not interrupting the actual show itself. So let's get started. Right on the first person this week was Curtis. And I have some opinions on Curtis that may not necessarily be overly popular. I thought he had too many runs in it. And I also think that maybe he had the key too low. He could have gone up a half step in the key probably and probably been a little more comfortable in it. At this point, Nicki Minaj had not shown up yet. She was stuck in traffic, so she did not have any comments necessarily. And Keith Urban said he liked it. And Randy Jackson said, stretch yourself, basically telling him he can do more and push it. It was a little too safe for him, basically. And I will say he's wearing a weird jacket too. Man, it was like something out of the 60s, I think, 60s or 70s. It was bizarre, but that's kind of his style. And I don't remember what Mariah Carey said. It must not have been memorable because I take any notes on it. Of course, I don't think anything yesterday she said was very memorable. It's all kind of like off the wall kind of stuff. And then our second one was Janelle Arthur. And again, this one was, it was just okay for me. It was not, that sounds like Randy Jackson. It's just okay for me. It wasn't anything special for me. It just didn't stand out. I don't know. It's just not memorable. Keith Urban, I thought it was great. And during this song, somewhere between the last song and this song, Nicki Minaj did show up and wearing sunglasses and a hoodie. Said last week's song was better, and that Janelle sings pretty songs. Randy Jackson said didn't go anywhere, didn't love the song, and Mariah Carey said something about her aura. I don't remember what it was. So nothing again valuable from Mariah Carey. Of course, being the last judge, it's probably already been said by the time she gets there, so you have to give her a little bit of leeway on that. But I haven't really heard much in the way of constructive criticism for her the music from her yet. Next, we had Devin Velez, which is probably my number one guy. I think I mentioned that last week that he was my number one guy. However, it was not my favorite song choice for him. He did an okay job with what he had, but the song choice just didn't like it. I also noticed that during that song, it sounded like the pianist was having some issues hitting wrong keys on the piano, or somebody was jumping to the wrong key at the key change. I don't know exactly what happened there. Something was kind of weird. But it didn't mess him up so much, so I think he did okay with that. Keith Urban kind of agreed with me. Not one of your better performances, he says. Nicki Minaj, of course, loved it. Randy Jackson said it was way too safe. You need to go broke. You need to go for broke. So, and then Mariah Carey had for done blah, blah, blah. So then the next one is what I said last week was my number one girl. Although this week she wasn't the best, but she was still very good. And that's Angie Miller. I like the song, and she has incredible voice control. And as of this point, she was like my number one for the week. But as people came out to her, there were other people that I thought did a little bit better than her. Although she did great. Keith Urban said it was gorgeous to hear the range, very beautiful. Nicki Minaj, perfection on every level, flawless. She's a superstar. Randy Jackson says the competition starts now. She's in it to win it, and it was an amazing performance. And Mariah Carey had one word: stellar. Then the next contestant was Paul Jolley. Again, this is somebody that I didn't think should have made it to the top 10. And based on his performance last night, I continue to agree with that. I don't think it was very boring. It was there was no spark, no energy. I just wasn't impressed by that. So Keith Urban said, "You've been listening to us. One of your better performances," which I don't necessarily agree with. That was one of the better ones, and his other ones are really bad. Nicki Minaj, "First time you have stimulated my sexual appetite," and you did the song justice. Randy Jackson said, "Great song choice," and again Mariah Carey, blah 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 blah. So that was it for Paul Jolley. So next was Candice Glover, and great song choice, great job. Actually, I thought the song was like perfect for her. She actually got a standing ovation from the judges. Well, except for Mariah Carey, who said she would have given her one, but she couldn't stand up because her dress was too tight. Keith Urban says, "I love you so much, very incredible." Nicki Minaj, "My favorite performance from you." Randy Jackson, "One of the greatest songs this season, perfect." And Mariah Carey, "Mesmerizing." So I think last night she was my number one performer. She would have gotten my number one vote for the people yesterday. And then we had Lazaro, and this wasn't very good. He was having a ton of issues staying on tune. I don't know if he couldn't hear himself or what it was, but he was definitely having some very serious issues. Keith Urban said, "It's not in your wheelhouse." Nicki Minaj said, "I like that you look like Ricky Ricardo." Okay, that's kind of off the wall. She said it was my least favorite song of yours. Randy Jackson, "The pitch was all over the place, not a good choice." Mariah Carey said, "People are falling in love with your courage." Again, nothing constructive for music there, which seems to be the case. So next came Kree Harrison, and Kree Harrison, I thought was a great performance, and Kree is definitely one of my top favorite ones. She's probably my second or third. I don't really know. They're kind of all mixed together right now, the top three for me. But you will notice there's no guys in my top three this year. The people in the top three so far are all girls. In fact, the guys were not so good yesterday as far as I'm concerned. Anyways, Kree had a great performance. Keith Urban said, "I would buy your record right now." And Nicki Minaj, "Smooth, delicious, and fun." Randy Jackson said, I love you, love your voice. From note 1, I'm in, amazing vocal. And then Mariah Carey, I didn't pick any notes down there for her either. Must not have been another important thing. And by the way, I do like Mariah Carey, so it's nothing against her. I also don't know if she's a demeanor. Not a good fit for the show, or everything she wants to say by the time it gets to her is gone, and she doesn't feel like repeating it. All right, so next we had Burnell. Not very good again. Sounded to me like he was screaming, kind of screechy, a very old-fashioned type of sound, not very updated type of sound. Keith Urban, magnetic and great. Nicki Minaj, good job. Randy Jackson said nice. And Mariah Carey said, love the choices you made. So they do not agree with me. They gave him good props for that, and I just did not like it myself. And then our last one for the evening was Amber, and not bad. She didn't really stand out, but compared to the boys, she still did better than the boys as far as I'm concerned. Again, this is going to be one of those things where it's going to be a girl's year. Unless something really messes up, it's going to be a girl's year. Or the guys really get really good at it. So she did get another standing ovation from the judges, and all again except for Mariah Carey. He said she would have given her one, but her dress was too tight. And Keith Urban says, I'm a fan. Love that song for you, Effortless. Nicki Minaj, best performance of the night. Really thought of Whitney because of the Whitney song. Randy Jackson blew it out of the box, so beautiful. And Mariah Carey said, hashtag POW. So I'm not quite sure what that means. Or it could have been wow. I wrote it down as POW. It could have been hashtag wow. I don't really know. But I don't know if POW meant for power or what that means. So that was the 10. Like I said, Amber wasn't bad. To me, it didn't stand out. But compared to the boys, she definitely blew the boys totally out of the water. So it'll be a very interesting night tonight to see who America thought was the better of these. And this will be a good test, I think, for me to determine who has a following already. And there's some things in here like Lazaro, I think is going to get a following. I don't want to call it the pity vote because it's not definitely a pity vote. He can definitely sing. I think certain songs for him are better than others. This week was not a good song for him, but some of the songs he's done in the past, he's amazing. And he has a ton of courage to be able to do this in front of people. So I'm definitely rooting for Lazaro. But I think that's going to happen with America in general. People are going to be rooting for him, and he'll get some votes for a while based on just that. Now, the one that I'm not quite sure about is Paul Jolley. I'm not sure how he got this far. To me, he's just boring. I mean, it doesn't stand out. He says he wants to stick to the country thing. I don't hear the country in his voice. I don't know. To me, he shouldn't have been in the top 10. So if I had to pick somebody to go home this week, it would be Paul Jolley. He would be my vote. And again, that's just because I don't think he should be here in the first place. Let's see. Devin did. I think Devin has the power. He did not do a good song choice this week. It just didn't feel like his power that he's had the last few weeks. And he didn't do any Spanish. I know you probably want to stay away from the Spanish thing, which is fine. No issues there. I agree. You can wear that out. However, I do think that this year, because we have a Spanish singer, he is going to have a lot of votes from the Spanish community. And I think that's going to be a big thing for him because he's going to be able to pull in the votes from a large group of people that in the past we never really had. Well, I'm trying to think. Do we ever really have a Spanish singer on America? Not that I can really remember. But that's it's a large group of people that will be voting for him. I think that's going to be a big thing. And hopefully he kind of plays it to his advantage. He'd be kind of stupid if he didn't, because that is an advantage to him. That's a whole other market of music that American Idol's never targeted before. So, and it's more than everybody thinks of Spanish music in Mexico or in other countries, but that's not the case. It's in the United States too, and I really think that's a whole other market. Plus, he can mix it up a little. He can do both, and I think he will be in that crossover type thing where he can, do both markets, and I think he has a real future in that. And I do like Devin. He definitely still is my favorite guy as I'm looking through my notes. Curtis is probably my second favorite guy, and I think my issue yesterday was there was just so many runs in the song, and it got kind of annoying almost because it was so many runs. I do think he is a decent voice. I'm not quite sure what was up with the weird jacket. I don't know if he's trying to make a statement or if the American Idol staff gave that to him for some reason. I don't know what was all going behind that. So the other thing was this week we also had some coaching going on with them. And so during the show they were showing the coaching. I don't want to call it necessarily, it wasn't really coaching at this point yet probably. It was more trying to get a fit and give some basic advice from what they have seen so far from these people. So we actually during the show had that going on at the same time. So the best thing to do with that is go watch the show if you have it DVR'd somewhere to get those. If you're listening to this post the fact. So all right, so that was the top 10. I'm trying to think what else happened yesterday that was. Nothing really stood out. I mean, this was actually a very basic week. And like I said, this week proved to me that this is the girls' year. Because the girls, I mean, even, we'll see, Candice did awesome. Let's get down to my list here again. Kree did awesome. Amber did really good. I mean, if it wouldn't have been for like Kree and Candice and Angie, she would have been number one for the night. Definitely number one for the week. She's probably like my number 4, and she's a really close number 3. Janelle, I like Janelle. I just don't think this was her week to stand out. What she did to me just didn't like make me go wow. Of course, there was only really 2 girls that made me go wow, and I can say that even Angie's was which I really liked. I loved it, but when it came down to Candice, that was the wow, and Kree was the wow. Kree's voice is just so warm and rich that it just stands out. But I do think Angie has this showmanship behind her, in addition to having a great voice and being able to be very flexible as far as playing the piano and things like that. I don't think she's up there in showmanship with some of the past American Idols that we've had, but I think she could put on a better show than Candice at this point. I think she's more prepared to put on like a live show. All right, so that was our review of what happened yesterday on American Idol on the live show. What I would like is if you want to come and chat on the air, you can go to the Google Hangout or come to the chat room. If you don't want to be on video or be on audio, you can come to the chat room and chat with us there, and we can talk about the show. Again, to get to the chat room, you just go to tech-zen.tv, and at the very top, there is a link that says live, and when you click on that or hover over that, you're going to see a link to live chat right below the live stream link, and you can get in there and chat with us. If you want to come join the Google Hangout, I'm not quite sure how to do it. Join the chat room first, and I can get you into the Google Hangout. And with the Google Hangout, we can actually bring you in on the air and talk to you. And if you don't want to do your video, that's perfectly fine. Audio is just fine. In fact, based on last week's downloads, this is going to be like some of our other shows where there's more downloads via audio than what there are via video, which is a little odd. You'd think people would like to watch things, but I'm guessing they probably watch or listen to it as they're driving or as they're working out or something, run outside running. I don't know, maybe over their desk working. But it seems like at least this show and Security Decoded are getting more audio downloads than they are video downloads. Now, some of our shows obviously don't lend to that very well because they're very visual, and we get many more video. But like Security Decoded, it's like a talk show, and it's just 3 of us sitting here talking about security events. So I guess that works well for an audio stream. I do see that we have, let's see, on Ustream, I have 7 people right now, but I had nobody in the chat room. And on, let's see, the broadcast to, oh, how's that right? Yeah, the broadcast to YouTube is 17 viewers right now. And again, nobody in the chat room. So please come get in the chat room. I'd love to talk with you. We start this show a half hour before, and today we went through it a little quicker than normal. And I am still trying to get my wife, Michelle, to come join me to do this because her background is in vocal. So she can make better comments than me. And it'd be better than me just standing here talking to you. That's why I want somebody in the chat room to come talk with me. So if you are watching or listening to Idle Fancast via iTunes, I ask that you go in there and you give us a rating and a comment. That we'd love to do that. That gives us feedback, first of all, but it helps us in iTunes to get our show a little bit more noticed. So you'll be helping us out by doing that as well. If you're getting it through other means, whether it's like through Stitcher or something like that, they all have some kind of rating system. Please go in and comment and rate us, and it helps us make the show a little bit more visible to other people as well. And if you got friends, well, definitely tell them about it. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'll give you a great example. On YouTube, there's a button down there that says I like it, but there's also a button, which please do that. That definitely helps. And you can put comments in there as well. But there's also a button right beneath there that says share. So you click that button and you can share our show with your friends. And that just helps get the word around about our show. We really want to build this community up as the Idle year goes on, and we want to be able to get people in and give us comments and be interactive with us as much as possible. And we do realize, because of our other shows, how long it takes to build the community. So this will grow in time. Unfortunately, American Idol is a limited length type of thing, so we only really have 12 weeks to build up the audience and get the conversation going. After 12 weeks, the finals come around, you announce a winner, and this show will stop until next year. So that's why we're trying to push it a little bit harder than some of our other shows. But I was very encouraged by the last week's downloads, much more than I thought. And I'm pretty sure that almost all came from iTunes. I never really did go and look and see on PodTrack where they all came from, but I'm going to guess mostly iTunes because that was the new release. Well, we did release a Roku app last week, but that wouldn't have been in those numbers anyway, so that would have been a little different than a different count there. So yeah, it could have been that, or it could have been Stitcher. I don't know which. I don't know if Stitcher were live on yet, but you can get us on your BlackBerry now. You can get us on your Zune still. So we're pretty much, this show is everywhere, and but more than likely, the biggest place you're going to find us is probably on iTunes, because iTunes is the official American Idol download site, so people go look for downloads and maybe finding us that way too, through our keyword searches. But we definitely would appreciate if you would rate us and comment anywhere you can, whether it be YouTube or on Stitcher or on iTunes, whatever. This helps us get up the ranks a little bit and get a little bit more noticed by other people. So we definitely appreciate that. Like I said, before the show goes live at about 7:30 every Thursday night, half hour before the live results show. And in the first half hour, we actually talk about the day before, which we've already kind of gone through the 10 from yesterday, and I kind of get my opinions on things. And it didn't take overly long because I don't really have anybody to talk about with it tonight. Hopefully next week I'll have somebody in here with me that can comment on it as well and to do a little bit more commentary. And I really do invite you to come join us, whether it be via just voice or video or chat room, to talk about your opinions on American Idol. So we're about, I've had to guess, 4 minutes away or so from the American Idol show. And when that happens, I actually basically go silent. I will stay on the stream and broadcast. You'll see me sitting here watching American Idol, and then during the commercials, I will comment on what happened during that part of the show. And if you're listening afterwards, I already mentioned this before, but you're going to get a much shorter version of this because I'm sitting here for an hour watching the show, and I'm not really making any comments. So I cut out all that blank stuff. So the end show could end up being, literally under an hour, depending on what we have after the show as far as people. And like last week, I didn't have anybody that stuck around afterwards, so I didn't really get a chance to make the show for very long, other than recap the show, which only took a couple of minutes. So right now, I do notice, I don't know if this is the case everywhere necessarily, but my Fox channel here does The Big Bang Theory at 7:30 to 8, and it has just ended. So we're not far from the start of the show. We're in the commercials right now. And I'm just checking out how many people are watching right now, watching us right now, to see how far it goes down whenever the show actually starts. So I got an email last week from this show, and it wasn't really an American Idol question. It was more like, where are we located at? And we're located in Maryland, so where you are on the East Coast. So we do everything at 7:30. Now it is Eastern Daylight Time, because we did a time change last Sunday. So depending on where you are in the world, that's going to make a difference. I don't know what the UTC time is now with daylight savings. You could always come join the chat room and let me know what time it is where you are. I'd like to know. I know what it is in the United States, but I don't know if anybody watching outside the United States. Okay, so we're down to what looks like a minute left. I think I actually have an official countdown on here for American Idol. Let me go look real quick. "36 seconds, actually. 34 seconds. So yeah, we're getting close. I'm actually going to bring up the TV in my ears a little bit. Last chance to go stretch before the show starts. So, and here's the other thing. I don't know if I'm actually ahead or behind people, depending on what you're using for your service provider as well. So I'm guessing, being on satellite, I'm a little bit behind people that are on cable, but I do not know that for sure. So like during the show, I don't comment immediately when the commercial starts, because I don't know where you are. My whole goal with that was to not interrupt your show. I want you to enjoy American Idol. So, all right, here comes American Idol. All right, we're at our first commercial for American Idol, and I should get a job. I should take Jimmy Iovine's job. And he basically said exactly what I said in the pre-show, that the girls are killing it this year. And the one guy that I liked this week, he said was the best of the evening for the guys. And his top three apparently includes the last girl, which would have been definitely in my top four. I mean, but basically, he called exactly what I did in the pre-show. So I think I need his job. I think I need Jimmy's job. American Idol, give me a call. So we are at commercial right now. They are doing things a little different this year. They actually got started very quickly, and they mentioned about the Spanish vote, which I mentioned about the Spanish vote, going. What's his name? I forgot. Devin. Going to Devin because, and I was right. I mean, Puerto Rico, 50% of the Puerto Ricans are voting for Devin. So yeah, definitely getting the Spanish vote there. And I think that's going to be a big thing for him this year, going forward. Candice is definitely in the top three. They're giving out the top three only. They're not going to tell you who was first, second, or third. They're just going to say you're in the top three. And Candice, which was my number one yesterday, is in the top three. So let's see. I would say Amber and Kree are my other two for the top three. If I had to pick an alternate for the top three, it would, again, as I mentioned before, it would be Angie Miller. I think all around she's probably the most well-rounded performer that they have this year so far. But the other ones will pick that up as they go along because they're getting trained by some of the best people out there. And Jimmy Iovine, he didn't really give them a lot of advice this week, at least according to the interviews that they showed. It was more of trying to get to know them. So we'll see. And I agree with the Paul Jolley thing. I don't get his country. And as I mentioned before, I don't think Paul Jolley should be even in the top 10. He's actually who I'm hoping goes home this week. So, all right, we're coming back to the show. All right, that was actually kind of short. They actually did a song for the upcoming movie The Croods, and it actually sounded really good. They blend well together as a group. Sometimes it's very hard to do with people that don't work together very often, and they're a fairly new group together. So they did a good job. And also, I must say, American Idol did a good job at mixing the music. Sometimes they don't always mix the broadcast very well. And I don't know why that is. So far this year, they've been doing pretty decent. But they also said that Kree is in the top 3. So there's 2 of the top 3 are my top 3. So still kicking it there. So when they come back, they're going to do a Bon Jovi show. Bon Jovi's going to sing, so we'll be a little quiet for a little while there too. I don't know if there'll be another announcement in between there and commercial or not, but for now, we're just watching a commercial. The question becomes, who is the third person? I bet it is not a boy. So I don't almost put money on that. I'm not a betting person, but I almost put money on that. It's either going to be Angie Miller or, let's see, or Amber. I think based on yesterday's show, well, I don't know. I had a hard time. I liked them both. So I actually think I liked Angie Miller better than Amber. So I also think based on her stage presence and the way she presents herself, she's going to get a bigger following than Amber, for at least for the current time, until everything, as they develop themselves, that'll change in time. But I'm going to have to lean towards Angie Miller as number 3, and then Amber a very close 4th. Of course, I could be wrong about that. These two may swap on me, because Amber was the last one to go, so she's typically the last ones are better remembered. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But they really only have, they've gone to the top 3 now. They haven't gotten to the one who's going to go home. So they got to do that yet too. But they're running through it. We're only 19 minutes into the show, and they already know who the 2 of the top 3 are. So we'll have to see what they're going to do with all this time. Obviously, Bon Jovi's going to take up some of the time. And, of course, last year's winner was there in the beginning, so he may be doing a little show there as well. So we'll have to see. It's a little different this year. It's kind of hard to predict how they're going to do things. Keeping you guessing. But if you're watching us right now and you want to come chat with us, please do. We'd love to have you in the chat room. It is currently empty, and that's a very sad thing. I hate seeing it empty. I like to have the feedback from people. Again, it's a new show, so I understand that, but I would definitely love to have you come. Go to tech-zen.tv, click on the live link at the top, and then say live chat. And if you want to come into the Google Hangout, we definitely welcome that as well. Get your feedback live. The show is coming back on, so we're going back to quiet. All right, we're back another commercial, and they just had the Bon Jovi. That's all that happened during this part of American Idol. I made the comment in there, which I probably won't make it to the edit, past the edit, but they're definitely looking a little bit older. Someone looked it up. He's actually 51 years old. He's actually not that as old as what I thought he would be. I mean, he didn't look. I'm not saying he looked more than 51 years old, but when I was growing up, he definitely looked a lot younger than that, and I haven't seen him for a while. So they did a good job with that. I didn't like the song that much, but yeah, they did a good job with it. And the drummer looked, definitely a little older than before. I don't know who's the drummer. Tico Torres is the drummer. Keyboardist David Brian. Guitarist was Richie Sambora. Of course, John Bon Jovi, or John Francis Bon Jovi Jr. But yeah, 51 years old. All right, we're back another break, and during this part of the show, I now see how they're going to expand some of their time. They basically are trying to pick one more person to go on the tour. I guess they're going to make 11 people on the tour, and they had Aubrey and hang on, let me go back to last week's notes. I can't remember his name. I want to say Charlie, but I'm not sure that's right. Let's see. Well, let me go look. I think it's Charlie. Anyways, of the two, Charlie, his last week he actually sang "Wear the Muscle" T-shirt, and I went a little bit off the ranch there with that Muscle T-shirt. He did an okay job. He did an original song. He played the piano. There were a couple points there where he got a little weak, trying to hold out notes. But of his performances, probably one of my favorite ones that he's actually done. But Aubrey was just beautiful. So I think she definitely deserves the win on that one. Let's see. Where's the American? I'm going to go look it up real quick. Who he was. Let's see. I want to see the guys. Oh, I see they've done the nice pictures for them now. Yeah, Charlie Askew. So yeah, it was between him and Aubrey definitely pulled it up on him on that one. I don't be afraid because he's just so inconsistent as well. He did an okay job tonight. I did actually like the song, but of the two, she still did a better job than he did. So she definitely is the one who needs to go or should be going forward. So I guess everybody gets to vote on that in now as well as for next week. So when we come back, we have last year's winner coming back to do a song. So I guess they're probably going to do another section of the show with him coming back and singing. We'll probably be back in another commercial after that as well before we really hear anything else. So Philip Phillips will be singing here when we come back. All right, we're back at another break for American Idol. And boom, I hit it right on the nose again. I picked the top 3. So what we came back from right there is we had Philip Phillips do a song, and he actually was given a quadruple platinum for this for his "Gone Gone Gone" song, which I'm actually tired of hearing it. I kind of wish it would go "Gone Gone Gone." It's always playing everywhere I'm listening, but it's a great song. I'm just getting tired of hearing it. That's all. So he sang. Randy Jackson gave him his quadruple platinum stuff. And then they came over and they announced the next person, which is number 3. And it was either Lazaro or it was Angie Miller. And Angie Miller is in the top 3. So we don't know what order the top 3 is in, but the 3 people in the top 3 are the 3 that I picked, with a close 4th of Amber. So I'm going to guess Amber's probably the 4th. If they're going to give you numbers for the rest of them, I'm going to guess she's number 4. So we are down to about 15 minutes left in the show, so they're going to have to start moving along just a little bit quicker if they're going to go through all of those, or they may just say who was the lowest now, the top 3 and who was the lowest. And we'll see how that works out. I'm thinking it's Paul Jolley is the lowest, but I don't know that for sure. That would be my pick for the lowest for the show or for the singers from yesterday. So right now we're, like I said, they get back at a commercial. We got, again, 15 minutes left, so they're going to start picking it up here soon. So hopefully they come back and get down to business. All right, we're back at a commercial again. That was very quick. Within 5 minutes, they went through the whole rundown of the order. I didn't get a chance to write them all down, but where I got a little surprised was number 4, was Lazaro. I don't think he belonged in 4th. So I definitely think, I don't want to call it a pity vote, but I think he's going to get that kind of vote for a while at least. And so he's up there he's number 4. Then let's go back to my notes here. I can tell you what order everybody was in from that. Then it was Amber, which I think she should have been number 4. That was my number 4. So then after Amber, was, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Janelle Arthur. And that's probably the right order so far. I do definitely agree with that. And then this is where it starts to get a little bit off for me, because next was Paul Jolley. And I really think that he should be the one going home. I'm sorry, no, next was Burnell. Then it was Paul Jolley. The bottom two, though, that are up for elimination, or, yeah, I guess it's elimination. What they call this here? Elimination? Well, I would think that the first one, which was Curtis, I do agree he should be definitely in the bottom two. But the one that's there, the other one that's there is Devin Velez. So my whole theory about the Spanish vote is actually going out the window right now, because he shouldn't have been in the bottom two if that was going to be the case. So I was way wrong on that one, and I guess you could say that I was also wrong about Lazaro. If I'm doing my performances, Lazaro should not be there, and Paul Jolley should be getting one going home. Lazaro should not be in number 4. I mean, I don't think he should be going home, but he shouldn't be in number 4 either. So I definitely think I don't want to call it other than a pity vote, because I think he definitely has talent, and it's not. I don't pity him at all. I think he does awesome. He's actually incredible, but I don't think his performance is evaluated to a 4 this week. Again, don't think he should have gone home or anything like that. But so we are down to we're down like 7 minutes to the end of the show. So they're going to have to reveal these last two. I don't know if they're going to sing off this year in the judges' pick, or if it's actually America's vote. We'll find out here in a minute or two, probably, because we're getting ready to head back, I think, after this commercial right here. It's funny because Angie. Nikki said she should go home if Curtis goes home, which I think Curtis is the one that of these two should be going home. So let's see what happens. All right, that's it. That is the end of the show. And going home is Curtis. I definitely think of the two that were at the bottom, he was the right one to pick. However, I do not think the two at the bottom were the right two at the bottom, but that's how America votes. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. So Curtis goes home. The judges could not unanimously want to save him. It looked like Nicki Minaj was pretty upset about that. She actually said prior to the announcement that if Curtis goes home, she'll be going home. So let's just see what happens. She did get up to start to walk off and then came back. But she was definitely upset. She said she didn't feel like they had enough time to make the decision because it was a live show. But from what I was getting from looking at Randy and Keith, they both didn't think he should have been saved. So, but that is it. That is Keith is going home. So I right now have 6 viewers on YouTube and 11 viewers on Ustream, but nobody in the chat room. So, and there's nobody in the Google Hangout right now either. So I have nobody to really discuss this with, but I will give everybody a couple minutes if you want to join. You can go into the chat room and or into the Hangout, either way, and we can discuss what all happened tonight. I kind of gave a punch by punch during the show and show commercial breaks, but I can continue here for as long as I need to. And I'd like to get other people's input. So come and join the chat room. The best way to do that is go to tech-zen.tv, and at the very top, click on live. And then when you get to live, do live chat, and it'll take you to the chat room. And if you want to get into the Google Hangout, best thing to do right now is connect to the chat room and let me know that, and I will pull you into it. That's the easiest way for me to get you in there. Unless you got an invite from Google Plus earlier in the day because you're following Idle Fancast on Google Plus, and then you can just go join it yourself no matter what. It's a public hangout, so anybody can join, but you just have to get to it. So if you are following us on Google Plus, you can go there and you can click on the join hangout and you come right into it. And if you're not following us on Google Plus and you have a Google Plus account, you definitely go look up Idle Fancast and add us to your circles, and that way you get notified when the shows, and it's really easy to connect to us and talk in the Hangout. So I'm going to hang out here for a couple minutes and see if any of the viewers that are currently watching do join me in the chat room, and if not, this post show will be very short. I definitely would like to bring people in though and get your opinion on what you thought about the person who went home and how the votes fell from America's vote. I'm very curious about your opinion on Lazaro, because based on his performance last night, he should not have been at number 4. But I kind of want his opinion. I could be completely wrong on this, and again, it's just my opinion. But I would love to have you come in and tell me what you think about all this. That's definitely love doing that part of it, because I'm just giving you my opinion on how I think it should have fallen. Now, my top 3 definitely fell the way that I thought. I don't know what order they were in necessarily, but they were the top 3, and they fell. My fourth one came in 5th, and down the line was pretty close, with the exception of Paul Jolley. I think he should have been with Curtis at the bottom. I think Paul Jolley is the one who should have gone home. I'm not quite sure what kind of vote he's getting yet, but to figure that part of it out. And that'll all come out as the weeks go on, based on his performance. Like I said, his performance to me wasn't that great yesterday. Wasn't impressed. So I'm kind of curious to see how things kind of fall out. And I'm not quite sure what vote he's getting beyond performance. So, but maybe people like that type of performance much more than I do. So, but I'd love to have you guys come. So far, nobody else has joined either the Hangout or the chat room. So I'm going to give you a couple more minutes yet to do that. And then I'm going to stop this show for this evening and go start the post-production process. So we've already moved the show. I have Glee on. I mean, Glee's out of my ears, but Glee is playing in front of me. So it's definitely been moved on. Okay, and I'm starting to see viewers drop down on both YouTube and Ustream. So I have a feeling I'm not going to get anybody coming to join tonight. Yeah, my YouTubes are dropping faster than my Ustreams, but that's because I generally have Ustream watchers. And it could be they're all waiting for me to start up the reruns. So we'll have to see. I'm only going to give it another minute or so to see what happens. So next week, our top 9, and we also got to find out who gets to go on the American Idol tour from the 2 people that came back, which, again, I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I'm bad with names. If you haven't noticed this, if you watch other shows, you know I'm bad with names all the time. It was Charlie Askew or, what's her name? Adriana. No, Aubrey or Charlie. One of those 2 is going to come back for the tour. It's actually voting this week. I think let's even go vote right now, maybe. Let's see what it says. Well, it says voting is now closed. So, unless there's a special thing for voting, let me see if there's any. Is there a fan? Yeah, there is a vote. You can go vote right now. You can choose Aubrey Cleland or Charlie Askew. And Aubrey and Charlie had a sing-off a little earlier, and now America is the judge. For the first time ever, you can help send the 11th Idol on the American Idol live tour this summer. And it's either Aubrey or Charlie. And Charlie did a decent job tonight. But Aubrey did a better job. And the problem I have with Charlie, he's a little unpredictable, because the last thing he did, which was his last song that he did before he was sent home, was in a muscle beater or in a wife beater t-shirt with weird hair and earrings and stuff. So I just don't know. I'm not quite sure the stability there. So just my opinion. It was kind of a shock when that happened. So, but you can vote. You can vote from the American Idol website. I'm actually looking at it inside of the actual app itself, and I can do this while I'm waiting for anybody to join. If they're going to join, let me show you what it looks like inside of the actual app. All right, there's the app. And let's go up here. So this is the iPad app, and as you can see, there's not much beneath it. Oh, more idle stuff. But basically, here's the voting page. At this point, you can click on and vote for one or the other. And if you haven't seen this app, this is actually a very cool app because they do some really neat things with it. You typically can come in here and you can vote from like right here. If you want to get information about each of the contestants, you can see that here. You can see details about them, their photo strip. There's videos about them, things like that. Now I was looking at the top 20, but I can filter it down by the top 10, for example. So this week's top 10, there you go. And you can see the top 10. And if you want to, let's see, Amber, you can go to Amber, and let's see if she has a photo strip. Oh, she does. Well, you know, yesterday or the day before when I looked, it wasn't, all these weren't in here. But, you know, it simulates a photo strip out of a you know, one of those booths you get in and put money into. But there's also videos you can watch. I don't have audio that I can really necessarily do with this, but you can do shares and retweets and things like that. And you get more information about the actual contestants. Like here is Angie and Massachusetts. I didn't know that. But you can also communicate with them and things like that too. You can tweet, retweet, do more tweets, all that kind of stuff. It's actually a pretty cool little app. And there's news and videos. You can see more about the contestants, which where I'm at right now. Things about the judges, about the show, things like that. So I didn't see this, your weekly picks. I should start doing this. Oh, next week I'll do this and see how I do. This week I would have been good because of my top three or top three. And, well, again, I have predicted that this year is going to be a girl. I'm almost positive it's going to be a girl. All right, so let's go ahead and get ready to sign off for the evening because nobody's joined the chat room and nobody has joined the Google Hangout. Let me go look just to make sure nobody's joined Google Hangout. In fact, at this point, I only have one viewer left that's watching on Yahoo, and I'm still at 6. Yeah, 6 viewers on Ustream. So I'm guessing they're waiting for their reruns to start, or they're just hanging out, watching and listening, which we enjoy that. We definitely like you to do that. So like to keep you, entertained, but I like to keep you more involved as well, because I like involvement. I like talking to people. Actually, if you read my bio, you find out that I'm actually an introvert, which I am. And when I'm in front of the cameras, I force myself to be an extrovert, which is kind of tiring, but I actually do enjoy talking to people. It just, I don't know, always been kind of a bit of an introvert. All right, but that is going to be it. If you are listening to us via download, definitely make sure you're subscribed. You get it all automatically on all your devices, whether you're on iPad or an iPhone or whatever. Any of your favorite podcatcher software. I'm saying iTunes because that's what I use. But anything that does podcasts, we should be listed on there. Sign up for that and get automatic updates. If you're listening on Stitcher, make sure you sign up for that. If you have watched us on YouTube, definitely click the like button first of all, and then the subscribe button so you get updates when we bring new ones out. And I'd appreciate it if you actually click the share button as well and start spreading the word around. And if you do get us through iTunes, while you're there on iTunes, can you just go out and write a little quick review and give us a rating? That just helps us move up the ranks a little bit there. And the same goes with Stitcher as well. Definitely would appreciate that. That's one of the hardest ones for us to get traction on normally with our shows. And it just takes some of our listeners to give us a little bit of a boost to get us up into the top 100, and then we start to grow kind of naturally from that point. So we definitely would appreciate that. We do have a show page that has show notes, ways you can contact us, all that stuff. And if you go to techzen.tv and you click on either the Idle Fancast icon on the front page, or you go to shows and Idle Fancast, you can see all of our social networks, how you contact us. If you follow us on Google+, what happens is you get a notification about the Hangout, and it's very, very easy to connect to the Hangout. It's basically one click away. I do put this out also on Facebook, on our Facebook fan page, which is a link there for that as well. It's just a little more difficult because you almost need a Google+ ID to get into the Hangout real easy, which is why we also offer the chat room. We are looking at adding potential for Skype or phone calls. That's something we can do now. We just don't have a number really to give you to do that with. So we use Google Voice a lot for all the other shows, and we haven't created one yet for Idle Fancast. So this week we're going to try to create one. And what we can do is just enable that as a forward on the night of the show, and you can call in and give us your comments if you like to do it that way, if that's easier for you to do. So hopefully next week that's all set up and working well also. Okay, so I definitely have losing my viewership as far as people being able to come in and wanting to come in and comment. So nobody's going to come in and comment. But I do want you to think about coming and joining us live. Every Thursday night, we start about a half hour before the live show, give a little recap of the previous night's show. And if you're around, we'd love to get your opinion on the performances of the show as well. We'd like to get your input, at all parts of our show. And during the show, we are live, and I comment during the commercials. And if you're listening to this as a download, you didn't really wait the whole hour with me. You got all that space cut out. So it just seemed like it's really short to you. So it'd be like an hour-long show this time about, I'm guessing. So that's it for Idle Fancast. Please come visit us next Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time, about one half hour before the live show. And if you just get this as a download, please keep subscribed. We do appreciate comments. We love comments here. I mean, that's like our biggest thing is it just feels like it makes it more of a community for us, even if you're not talking to other people, but we love the feedback and ways to improve ourselves as well. All right, we'll see you all next week on Idle Fancast.